Today we'll be solving the mystery of whether I did or didn't like the very first season of the CW's Nancy Drew. That's coming up in just a moment. Hello everyone, my name is Rachel and I review everything. So just recently, the CW's Nancy Drew wrapped up its first season. And while it wasn't supposed to end quite this early, they were unable to film the last couple of episodes because of obvious reasons. So we ended up with a very anticlimactic season finale. But I've been dying to sit down and give my thoughts on this one for quite some time now, because I have a few of them, that's for sure. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then I would very much appreciate it if you would do so. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon, as that will keep you notified of when I upload new videos. But with all of that being said, let's dive into this review of Nancy Drew. Alright, so in this series, an actress named Kennedy McMahon plays our favorite detective, Nancy Drew. Nancy has recently graduated high school, and while she originally had planned to go on to college, that gets put on hold once her and 4 others become the prime suspects in a recent murder. The show definitely has quite a supernatural twist to it as well, which is an interesting element, but with this show being on the CW, it is a much darker take on the Nancy Drew character. And that's kind of where my first issue with the show comes in, because I think they try a little too hard to show us that this isn't the same wholesome Nancy Drew that we're all used to, which is unfortunate, because while I don't mind the world around Nancy being a little bit darker, I feel like they've really stripped Nancy of all of her charm in this show. She doesn't even slightly remind me of the character that's in the original books or computer games, so that's rather disappointing. That's really the only word that comes to my mind when I think of this version of the character: disappointing. But I would say that I did enjoy the actual mystery that this season was focused on. I mean, to be perfectly honest, that was really the only reason why I continued to watch. I thought the story was very captivating, it kept my attention, and I was always eager to get another little piece to the puzzle. I also loved the way the show looked visually. The little intro and music at the beginning of each episode was absolutely perfect. The supernatural stuff is where I think things went a little too dark at times, at least for my own personal liking, but unfortunately it was actually some of the characters that kept me from fully enjoying this show. The thing is, I haven't seen too many CW shows, but from what I have seen, they seem to make their characters pretty sleazy. I do understand that there is a need for those types of characters, considering that this is a murder mystery, but what I don't like is that some of our protagonists are made out to be that way as well. There are so many characters in this show that are either corrupt or just plain unlikable, and sadly, the very best example that I have of this is Nancy herself. Nancy is easily the most unlikable character in this show for me. I don't think that it has anything to do with the actress. I think she's doing what she's supposed to do. It's just that the character is written that way, and that can be super frustrating because we're really supposed to be rooting for Nancy. But it's pretty hard to do because she's a huge jerk. She treats her dad like garbage, doesn't treat her friends that much better, and overall, she's just plain selfish. I also didn't like that this show was just way overly sexualized. That also seems to be a CW thing, and that's just not my taste, especially because they're just trying a little too hard to get away from the family-friendly image that the Nancy Drew franchise has. And again, because they're trying so hard to get away from that, this character does not feel like Nancy Drew at all. That's just another thing that kind of ruins her and the show for me. There was also a huge twist with Nancy toward the end of the season that I really didn't dig. Obviously, I won't go spoiling it for you, but I really didn't like it because in the process of creating this big twist, it kind of left Nancy's dad Carson hanging with really nothing to do in the show. So my opinions on season 1 of Nancy Drew are very mixed. It's great visually and has a really solid story, but unfortunately the characters aren't the greatest and Nancy really bothers me. Therefore, the first season of Nancy Drew is getting a 3 out of 5 star rating from me. But I am much more interested to hear what your thoughts were if you happen to watch this one for yourself. Be sure to leave them down in the comments below. As always, you can follow me over on Twitter at RR_everything, where I talk about all kinds of shows and movies and also post updates on future videos. But until then, I'm Rachel, and that was my season 1 review of Nancy Drew.